Kingdom Hearts 2 Beginner Mode 100% Segmented Speedrun Segment 2, I guess. This is Isaac. Segment 2 goes from the Sunset train station, I believe it's called, Central Station, all the way to Bamboo Grove, which is the beginning of Land of the Dragons. And then Land of the Dragons is segments 3 and 4. And segment 2 gave me a little bit of difficulty. I got this segment, which is the segment 2, on the 50th reset, mostly because I manipulate a synthesis drop. So even though most of the battles went, well enough that I would accept them, and except for the Bailey battle, but I'll get to that in a minute. The main reason to keep this is, of course, that when you see it, it's about the cleanest synthesis drop I could possibly expect. I kill one soldier, get a Dark Shard from him. This little first Shadow battle actually ended a surprisingly large number of those segments, because it's pretty much entirely random, dependent on A, the Shadow behavior, and B, how often Donald uses Thunder. Donald's Thunderification, like right there you see he just killed 2 Shadows with 1 Thunder, and then finished it off really quickly. And Donald's Thunder is pretty much my main fighting tool at this point. I'm pretty sure that Donald actually does more damage than I do, which is kind of unfortunate, but I'll pass him very shortly. And actually, incidentally, that's why I left him on Technic Attack. A little while later in the run, I'll probably be switching both Goofy and Donald to Relentless Attack, because it makes it more likely for them to kill an enemy when I'm just running past them, like in this situation, some shadows spawn. But the problem is that if he was on Relentless Attack, which makes them not switch in between enemies until they've actually gotten a kill, then whenever a shadow would go underground, he would just stay focused on it, so then he would keep thundering a shadow that was underground, which is obviously worthless. But so once I get out of all these annoying shadow battles, and once his thunder starts to be a little bit less of a one-hit kill all the time, I'll probably be switching him to Relentless, also turning off Cure, don't want him doing any of that nonsense. And this first shadow battle screwed up even more segments, but it actually goes over really well. I like to ground combo shadows, even though it's a little bit slower, because the ground combo finisher has a bigger hitbox, and I like to hit as many shadows as I can with that, because they get stunned if you hit them with the finisher. And, if they're stunned, they tend to group up a little bit better, and then Donald can thunder them all the better. I don't even know what Goofy's doing. I kind of ignore Goofy in the beginning segments, which is quite humorous considering how useful he becomes later on with the whole Knock Smash and Whirly Goof. I wish that you could get limits earlier than, I guess it's Olympus Coliseum and you get Trinity Limit, but, I mean, limits are just amazing. Limits are what make this run. Limit and form. And that's why I personally consider Kingdom Hearts 2 speedrunning much more interesting than Kingdom Hearts 1 speedrunning. Because Kingdom Hearts 1 is much more simpler in the combat aspect. And then those soldiers all went down really fast. I was really happy with that. I got a good mix of my combos and Donald's thunders. Because, I mean, it takes a oh god, that was dirty. It takes a combo and a thunder to kill one. So I love to get both of them on the same soldier if preferable. And then this is where I chose to manipulate the drop. It's a little bit further into the segment than I would have liked for manipulation, but still, there it is, Dark Shard. Didn't take much time at all. And of course the reason that I have to do that is because one of the 100% requirements, probably the most difficult one actually, is all the synthesis lists, which means that by the end of the game I have to have collected 30 Dark Shards. So, although much of that will be farmed when I'm leveling Wisdom, probably, and most of the synthesis items I'll be collecting when I level up forms, and some of them I will just have to make a segment purely for grinding synthesis. But picking up as many as I can during the early segments will make all of those segments shorter. So even though it is annoying to try and manipulate drops without even a single lucky, it'll work out in the end, I hope. And then you get to talk to the magic clothes-making fairies who hang out with Pimpy and Sid up here. Just gotta wonder what they're doing in this tower, up here, alone, 24/7. He's super powerful sorcerer. They're 3 fairly spherically shaped fairies. And speaking of fairies, oh man, I don't even know why they bothered to leave Chip and Dale in this game. All they ever do is tell you really obvious things. But I suppose that they did need something to make the game a little bit more frou-frou-y, because Atlantica just isn't enough, you know. And here's into Radiant Garden, or Traverse Town? No, it's Hollow Bastion. Traverse Town isn't even in this game. Hollow Bastion, aka Radiant Garden. And I use Valor here. A, for the Valor experience. B, because at the end of this world, your Valor is refilled. So even though I do let it run out, I do get it all back for Land of the Dragons, which is awesome. And C, I think I'm on C, because there's a jump, which I can only make with Valor, which I do after collecting some chests. And collecting chests is already getting old, I have to say, because it doesn't seem like it takes all that much time, but I lose about a second just for the actual animation of opening the chest. And then, of course, the actual getting to the chest costs me even more time, which is why this run's going to be so far behind the 80%. And actually, this battle goes down pretty well. Pretty much the whole thing that decides how fast it is how well you chain the enemies, and if you manage to hit the samurai with a finisher, which I did both of. I can finish it about 2 seconds faster than that, that's about my best time, but really significant amounts of that just depend on which finisher Sora uses. And here's where I go ahead and pick up some chests around the Hollow Bastion area. I go ahead and get all 5 that are in this little section of the map before doing the Bailey battle, and then this is the jump that I was talking about. Sora cannot make that jump, but Valor can. And I think it's noticeably faster, obviously, than going back around and jumping over the railing back by where the beginning battle was. So I think it's a good idea to go ahead and use Valor here. Just for the experience, if it wasn't even for that jump. Skip through some cutscenes, run past a sandwich maker, who I believe her name is Aerith? Maybe Eris? It's difficult to tell. I haven't played Final Fantasy VII. I think I have it. I think I downloaded it on PS3 because it was like $5 or something. Really should get around to that. But first, I must finish this speed. And here is the Bailey battle, which is the reason that I thought about rejecting this segment. And when you see the first half of the battle, you'll probably think about rejecting it as well, but I asked in the SDA thread, and a few people spoke up and said that they thought that it was keepable, considering how lucky I was with the synthesis drop. And Square Queenix herself said that I should keep it. So if you have any problems with this, you should take it up with her, and she'll probably end you. And I tend to miss a lot of air combos. That's the big problem with the Bailey battle. I mean, Dusks are a little bit difficult to hit anyway. But like there, you see that was really nasty, sort of 3 misses in a row situation. But luckily, the second half of this battle is really cool, actually. I get pretty much all the enemies pinned up against the gate, which is a suggestion that I have to 100% thank Spike Vegeta for. And once they're all pinned up there, Leon gets his giant kick-ass sword, and I have my tiny little Keyblade, and both of us whack at the giant cluster of enemies there. And then this totally should have hit him. I don't know why that missed. I guess the lock-on messed me over. Locking on in this game seems significantly worse than locking on in the original Kingdom Hearts. I don't know what it is, but it's like, even whenever just the little yellow lock-on is on an enemy, if you turn away, so you're not even, like, looking at them at all, they're off-screen, it stays locked onto them. It's really weird. But coming up in a second here, like you see, we're owning these samurais really easily. I only ever get juggled by them once, which can be quite a problem with samurais. And then, like, right here, like, every time that Leon and I attack, we're hitting both of these samurais. And then he finishes that one off, and there's just a few Dusks left. Now, this last Dusk, I see that there's one behind us in a corner, which Leon is attacking, and then there's that one spinning through the air. So I went ahead and let off some blizzards. If he had used a ground pattern, those would have hit him and dealt some decent damage. And since he was using an air pattern, which I just didn't see until I'd already fired off the second blizzard, obviously they missed, but when they're spinning like that, if you hit them, it doesn't. I did that, even though it looks like it wastes time, because I have to wait for him to come over closer anyway. And on to Asteroid Sweep, which admittedly caused probably 49 out of my resets, because I die every single time on Asteroid Sweep, because we all know that the Gummy missions require, 100% perfect timing, perfect skill. They are just so astonishingly difficult that I have no idea why they included them in this game. And I really, really, really hate them. Every time that I realize I have to include a Gummy section in a segment, it just makes me die a little on the inside. And I just kind of screw around during the whole thing, because there's obviously nothing I can do to speed it up. Although I am curious, I was playing ahead a little bit in this file just to figure out what the next segments should be. And I'm curious if anyone knows if it's possible to change the routine of the battleship in the, I think it's the gummy path that leads to the Olympus Coliseum. Because there's, you know, the giant battleship that you have to fight, and you destroy the cannons, and so on and so forth. And is it possible to skip some of that? Can you skip some of the sort of panning around the ship if you kill it quickly enough? So I try to do relatively poorly during the gummy sections, so that way I don't get awarded any of the bonus blueprints, like the Falcon blueprints or whatever. Because that way I don't have to click through them at the end, which only saves like a second, but it is a second saved. But if I can skip some of the ship fight by killing it, then I guess I will have to go ahead and do that. So if anyone knows that, you could go ahead and leave a comment. I think that you can't. I think that even if you blow up everything, it still pans around and shows you the destroyed ship. But maybe I'm wrong, so please correct me if I am. I also figured out that the little enemies that clamp onto you, which are by far my least favorite enemy, I forget, I don't even know if they have a name, but don't really know how to describe them. They're the ones that, you know, move up towards the screen and grab onto your ship. If you spin, which I think is circle, whatever button it is, if you spin, it throws them off. And they actually, like, fly forward and explode, and they can kill stuff like that. So that was an interesting discovery when I found it. It's difficult to have anything to say about Gummy World. Although, so far, I feel like this commentary is probably going better than the last one did. I watched that back once, and it was a little bizarre, so I apologize to everyone that watched that and was confused. As I have said, I just wasn't sleeping well. And I was very tired when I did that, but I went ahead and put some commentary on it, because I think that commentary is better than in-game sounds, especially because a lot of the people that are watching this have run Kingdom Hearts in the past, so they have already heard all these sounds a billion times, and there's no need to subject them to it again. I actually watched a run with really good commentary, which was the most recent Majora's Mask run by Genro, I believe his name is. I'm sorry if it's not Genro, or if Genro's someone else who didn't do the run, but I think his name's Genro. And there were a lot of commentators on the run. There was like Petrie and Ring Rush I recognized, and a few other people I didn't recognize. I've never played a Zelda game, admittedly. I've never been involved in any of the Zelda communities or anything, but I find the glitches that they use very intellectually stimulating. So I went ahead and watched the Majora's run, because it had some pretty cool commentary, and there were like 5 of them, I think, so at least they always had something to say. Unlike poor little me, who just blabbers on for roughly 14 minutes. And this is the save. The time is 43, I think? Yeah, 43 at Bamboo Grove, and I'll see you next time.